Hello friends, and welcome back to another gardening video. Today's video is again about my orchids, and I'll be showing you how you can separate out orchid keikis and grow them separately to get an individual plant. Over here you can see my orchids. They are growing really well and they are also giving out extra stems, and these stems are called as the new leads. So this one is one small new lead, and over here you can see another larger new lead. So this is the normal way how orchids grow and give out new branches, but over here you can see that this orchid has given a lot of keikis. In fact, there are so many keikis that the orchid is unable to grow properly. The mother plant is unable to feed all of these keikis. So today I decided to remove off some of the keikis and grow them separately. So these are the keikis which I have separated, and in this video I'll be showing you how to correctly separate the keikis, and I'll also show you how to make this DIY humidity container for the keikis. So basically keiki is a cloned baby orchid and it has its own roots, leaves, and it can grow independently, and new leads are the normal extension of the orchids and it just adds a new stem. So over here I'll be showing you the potting mix that helps the orchids grow new roots. Like you can see over here, this is my DIY potting mix. So let us prepare the potting mix first. So I'm using these groundnut shells and soaking them in water to remove off the excess salt, and because the keikis are really small, I'm going to cut off the coconut husk into smaller pieces, and I'm going to soak them for 2-3 days and keep rinsing out the water to remove off any extra tannins or any salt that might be there in the coconut husk. I have a detailed video about the DIY orchid potting mix, so I'll put that also in the description. So these small pieces I'll be soaking and rinsing off the water after 2-3 days and drying it off and preparing the potting mix. Apart from these, I'll be also using some bricks and charcoal. So this is a piece of cinnamon. If you don't have any fungicide powder, then you can pound the piece of cinnamon and get a fine powder, and this will act as a fungicide and it will help prevent the orchid stem from infections, and it will help dry off the orchid quickly. And I'm going to use a sterile blade to cut the plants. If you don't have a new blade, you can easily disinfect the blade using alcohol. So over here I'm taking a blade, and this is my orchid plant. This small keiki has been there for months and it's not growing. The roots are also drying off. So first I'm going to remove off the root a little bit, and then I'm going to snip it off from the mother plant, keeping a little bit of the mother plant along with the keiki as it is very small. So in this manner, using a sterile blade, I'm cutting off the keiki, and a bit of the mother plant is coming as well. So over here you can see this is the first way to remove the orchid keiki, taking a little bit of the mother plant along with the keiki, and it should have at least 2 to 3 roots, but this one is too small. Another method is by simply twisting the keiki if it is kind of like separate, and then pulling it out gently from the mother plant. So like this one broke off easily from the mother plant, but the roots are a little bit tightly bound into the potting mix, so I'm going to pull it out gently. And this one is also separated from the mother plant easily. It is having a lot of roots, so survival of this one will be really good. So in this manner you can remove the keikis easily. For smaller ones, sometimes you need to snip off the sides to separate it out from the mother plant. So like this one is attached a little bit, so I'm going to just gently snip off the sides and then pull out the keiki like so. And in this manner I removed a few of the keikis, and now I'm going to use the cinnamon powder and apply that carefully on the stem where I have cut. Make sure not to put them on the roots because it will dry off the roots as well. So I am going to carefully apply the cinnamon powder just on the cut off edges of the stem of the plant, avoiding the roots because it can also dry off the roots if it falls on the roots. If you see any fallen bits on the roots, you can easily dust it off. And in this manner I'm going to seal up the plant, and even the keikis where it was attached with the mother plant, I'm going to apply a little bit of the cinnamon powder so that it does not start rotting from there. If you have saf powder, you can use that also. That also acts as a good fungicide. Otherwise you can use this natural remedy as well. So I'm going to apply this on all the cut off keikis, especially the one where the parent stem is there, and whatever little bit falls on the leaves or roots, I'm going to dust it off and clean it up. And now this is the potting mix. So these had been washed, soaked and dried, and over here this potting mix is almost ready. The charcoal bits are there, which I'll be breaking up a little bit because I'm going to use a small container for these small keikis. So in this manner we can make the potting mix. And for the container, I'm going to use my own DIY container. These I had made when I had got the orchids for the first time. I'll be putting a link of this also. So I'm going to add a little stone towards the bottom to give it a little bit of weight, and then I'm going to fill it up with the potting mix slightly up till the top, not completely because I'll be adding the orchids later on. After filling up with the potting mix, what I'm going to do next is take one piece of coconut husk and tear it up a little bit like so, and put the orchid keiki in it. And some of the roots I'm going to put in the coconut husk, and some of the aerial roots I'll be leaving out like so, because the aerial roots actually are not going to tolerate too much of humidity, so I'll leave it like so. And for the cut plant part, I'll try to keep it above the coconut husk so that it dries off nicely, and I'll just put the roots in the coconut husk. And in this manner I'll be preparing all the keikis. And some of these roots are looking a little bit dried up, but I'm pretty sure they are simply dehydrated, and once I put it in the potting mix they will become hydrated when I water it. Then I'm going to put the keikis surrounded by the coconut coir in the container, and in this manner I'm going to add all the keikis in this container. You can use separate containers for each keiki, but because these are too small, I decided to put them all in one container, and once they grow out I'll be shifting them to larger containers. So in this manner I planted all the keikis into the container, and finally I am going to add a little bit of the potting mix all around so that the orchids are snugly put in. And I'm also going to add a little bit of charcoal pieces here and there. That helps to keep the potting mix a little bit cleaner. And after doing this, I'm going to deep soak this in a container filled with water. So you can just dip this into a container with water and allow it to sit there for at least 5 to 10 minutes so that the potting mix gets hydrated properly. And this is the first time, so I'm going to hydrate it properly. Once it is hydrated, all you need to do is give a deep soak like once in 15 days, but you have to keep misting the orchids because these are still going to dry out. The top part might dry out and the new roots need a little bit of moisture, so you have to keep misting it regularly, but deep soaking is not needed too much. So after this, let me make the DIY humidity container. So over here I've taken a container and I'm going to add some shells below. Afterwards I'm going to fill it up with water. Make sure the top part does not get submerged in water, and then just keep your keiki pot on top. It should not be touching the water. If needed later on, you can add a little bit more water if the water is less, but make sure the lower part of the container is free from water. These humidity trays provide a steady humidity all around the keikis, and it helps the keikis grow out well and quickly. So this is how you can easily propagate new orchids from keikis. I hope you found this video useful, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and thanks for watching.